Sci Access, May 10, 2024. A Touch of Space Weather, Exploring Multisensory Outreach. Dr. Lenka Zychova, Stijn Calders.
Hello everyone, I'm Lenka and I'm really excited to be here. I'm a white woman with pretty long brown hair and I'm really happy to present our outreach project together with my colleague Stijn. We are from the Royal Belgian Institute for Space Aeronomy and we would like to talk a little bit about our project A Touch of Space Weather. Maybe you're asking why space weather? Well, quick answer, we are space weather scientists. So this is our field where we work and where we like to do outreach. But also space weather is very interesting topic because it's interdisciplinary subject. We can right away explore how universe, specifically the sun, can influence us, our technology, our services. For example, here on this slide, I present this image where is a sun producing different particles and radiations that are influencing our satellites, also astronauts, aircraft crews, and also our services like GPS navigation, communication, and others. And because all of this is relevant to daily life, we can easily connect to these topics. And we think that space weather is brilliant to explain complex scientific topics that have to be explained within the school year to high school students, such as sun, magnetic field, radiation, and other topics. Now, before we move on to the next important part of our project, I want to do this little experiment with you. I would like to ask you to close your eyes and try to imagine clouds above a meadow. I think we all can relate to it. We know the feeling where we are at the meadow or on the meadow and how it feels the air. If I show an image, this is something that some of us can imagine. However, if I ask you to imagine cottony cushion scale, it might be a little bit more harder, right? Cottony cushion scale. Just try to imagine something. You might think it's something from space weather, but it is not. It is actually, I'm going to show an image. It is a beetle. It is a beetle that looks a little bit like a cottony cushion, basically. And what I want to show with this is that not everybody has the possibility just to look at image and right away connect such words as cottony cushion scale to a beetle. And now if we want to express or explain space weather, the way solar activity interferes with our technology and systems, this is pretty hard when we want to consider people who are blind or visually impaired. What would you do? How can you explain such abstract things to our peers who are visually impaired? There are different options. We have heard about sonification, which is a wonderful tool. We have other options, such as making text very descriptive, or to making the images that, for example, I can just look at and see, but to make them tactile, so they can be, people can feel them with their touch. That's why touch of space weather. I would like to quickly say how come we came to this idea. A little group of scientists in Belgium, in Brussels. During COVID, I listened to a conference about communicating astrophysics to public. And there was a group in Brazil who presented their project for visually impaired people. And they said that their teachers and assistants had some severe issues to have content, audio content, for their students when they were sitting at home during lockdown. So that somehow stayed in my mind. And then I remembered 15 years ago, I used to do also outreach at the institute in the Czech Republic. And there I asked children, as seen on this picture, you can see two little boys and their parents helping them to create a sun. So on a piece of paper, they are drawing, they're painting, they're gluing different fabrics with different textures, wires, and other materials to create the images of sun tactile. And then I put it together and I thought, okay, that would be wonderful to try to explain space weather through these methods, to be descriptive, to provide teachers some materials they can use within their classes, but also to create some tactile images that anybody can reproduce. And at this point, I would like to ask my colleague Stijn to take over.
Thank you, Lenka. So my name is Stijn Calders. I'm a white man from Belgium, Europe, with a physical disability, and I'm delighted to join you today at the SciAccess conference. So far, Lenka has outlined the rationale behind the creation of a touch of space weather. Now, I will dive into the methodology we employ to bring this project to life. So let's explore the visual elements on this slide together. In the top right corner, there's a tactile 3D model representing the Earth, where the continent stands out above the oceans. We also have a similar model of the Sun, and these models serve as touchable aids to explain the relationship between the Sun and our planet. Now, directing our attention to the bottom left corner, we will find 4 examples of tactile images developed within the project. The top images show the Earth's magnetosphere in interaction with solar wind particles. The bottom left image shows the Sun with 2 different types of solar wind and energetic particles, and the bottom right image shows the radiation belts around the Earth. Moving to the bottom right corner of the slide, there's another tactile image depicting the consequence of this interaction, the impressive phenomenon known as the polar lights or aurora. These vibrant displays in the skies are the visual manifestation of the interplay between solar particles and the Earth's atmosphere. Next slide, please. I'm not familiar with the educational system in the US, but in Belgium, students with visual impairments are often placed in separate schools. So we reached out to teachers from these schools and were graciously invited to test our tactile images and 3D models. The images on this slide capture moments of the students exploring our materials, providing valuable insights for improvement. Overall, the feedback from both students and their teachers have been very positive. Next slide, please. Can you also start video?
Yes.
All tactile images are created from materials that are not expensive and easy to get in hobby shops. Therefore, anyone can easily recreate them, including parents, friends, and teachers of blind and visually impaired children. The instructions and video tutorials are published on the project website. On the right-hand side of this slide, you see one of these instructional videos. Next slide, please. In addition to our online resources, we have distributed boxes to school, catering to children with visual impairments across Belgium. Each of these boxes is carefully curated to include a comprehensive set of resources consisting of 8 tactile images and 4 3D models. Now Lenka will explain who made the tactile images that are included in these boxes.
Exactly. So there are around 30 boxes that we are trying to create, and you can calculate that 8 times 30, it's a lot to create in our free time. So we were thinking it would be lovely if we engage sighted children to create these tactile images for their visually impaired peers. So we went to different schools and events to engage with children and ask them to create these images, because that way they learn about space weather, but they also learn about visual impairment and blindness and try to understand what the difficulties are. So on this slide, we present 3 images. On the left side, you can see a little boy who is creating one of these tactile images where there is a sun producing solar flares, and these particles and solar flares are directed towards the Earth. The middle image shows the students sitting at the table and me presenting one of the tactile images. On the right side, you can see another exercise that we did with the students, with the children. We separated them into 2 groups. Each group had 1 tactile image that they had to learn about, thanks to us or thanks to our explanation. And then we created couples from both groups together One child from the couple was always blindfolded, and the other child had to explain the tactile image to his blindfolded friend, leading the hand on the tactile image as well, so they could experience how it is to be blind and try to understand something through touch, but also how to explain something that a person cannot easily see. Another activity that is finalizing right now, we are collaborating with students from University KU Leuven in Leuven in Belgium, where these students are taking a subject on science outreach, and a group of 4 students decided to collaborate with us, and they're creating multisensory poster for us that will include not only tactile parts but also audio files. So here there are 2 images. On the left side you can see actually a backyard of my home, which is not very tidy, but especially you can see 2 students working on this poster, gluing it on this thicker paper or thicker board. And on the right side, the same students, girl and a boy, are holding 3D printed part of a solar, let's say solar corona or solar, I will say solar surface, and easily, with some additional elements like prominences, solar spot or sunspot, holding in their hands. It's pretty huge object. It is in a diameter is around half a meter. So this will be part of the multisensory poster. This way, students that are learning how to do science outreach are also understanding how important it is to include people with blindness and visual impairment in the outreach projects. And at this moment, I will again ask Stijn to take over.
Yes, we have to speed up a bit because it's almost time, but I will quickly tell about our future plans. So our goal is not only to make space weather accessible through tactile means, but also to extend this to the reach of your ears. Hence, we are in the process of producing 12 audio booklets covering various space weather topics, such as solar storms, Earth's magnetic field, lunar exploration, and more. Next slide. You will have the option to download these audio booklets onto your device or to stream them directly from our website. Additionally, we will include them on a USB stick within the space weather boxes mentioned earlier. Next slide. Thank you for your attention, and we are delighted to address any questions you may have. But since we are out of time, I propose that you ask this in the Q&A session, and Lenka and I will try to answer them over there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sci Access. Learn more at www.sciaccess.org.